So I guess if we're looking at an essay now, we can put all of this together in an essay plan. So I won't read this in great detail. You guys can pause this, I'm pretty sure, or watch it again, or take a photo. But this is a nice kind of guide or structure to your essay. So I'll go over it like a little bit briefly, but in your introduction, you should really have an opening sentence that relates directly to the topic. Don't put any context in the first sentence. Assessors want to see you talk about the topic straight away. Remember, the text response, how you're being marked, is upon your complexity in your interpretation of the topic. So assessors want to see words relating to the topic. Even if you repeat them or use synonyms, like it's better to overuse the topic words than to not use them at all. So if in doubt, use a topic word. And have an opening sentence that responds directly to the prompt. Have it establish your contention, You can weave in the context throughout sentences where you talk about like your arguments that you're going to talk about throughout your essays. Like you kind of outline your sub-arguments. You can weave in some context through there. And I'll show you how we can do that as well with some topic sentences, okay? And then you can use Ogawa's full name once and then just use their last name for an introduction. As for a body paragraph, you have your topic sentences, and then you can move on to outline like a sub-argument if you wanted to, optional, don't have to. And then you want to have 2 examples as well. So I know some people have just done one in the past. You want to have 2 examples of at least 2 characters or 2 things in the book. Because if you think about it, your body paragraph is like an argument for your contention. If this is the big idea I'm arguing in my introduction, here are my 3 arguments to support that. If your body paragraph is an argument with 2 points of evidence or 2 examples is much stronger than 1. So that's why we try and use 2 as well. But I guess it's the body paragraph, go through those 2 examples, and then obviously have your concluding sentence, weaving in authorial intent throughout those that analysis as well. Okay, perfect. And then the conclusion. So nothing new goes in the conclusion. We just tie together those arguments that we've argued throughout our body paragraph. And we re-emphasize our contention, kind of point to what we're overall talking about. We can link these to a broader kind of idea in humanity or society, like in our kind of world, rather than the text, and we can link this to authorial intent, of course, as well. And important to use authorial verbs, so Ogawa suggests or condones or reveals or criticizes the authoritarian regime, and that would link to broader ideas as well. Okay, so that's kind of a brief idea. There are some more in-depth things you can do with that, but for now, I also want to stress the importance of planning. So this plan here is for Sunset Boulevard. It's not a memory police one, but this is a nice structure you might want to follow. I'll touch on it a bit in a second. But it's really important that you plan your essays. Really important, regardless of whether it's a SAC or an exam or whether you're just practicing. You really, really, really want to be planning. Not maybe... if you're practicing for a SAC, you can definitely do a plan in this detail. But obviously, you don't want to spend 10 minutes of your exam doing a plan in this deep. But it is good to start with a plan that has this amount of depth, because then you can learn little cues, You can get to your exam and only write maybe 1 or 2 words, but you have an idea of what you want to write. And by that, I mean, for my text in Year 12, I remember I did a plan like this. I would format it like this, with my topic sentences, my contention, some points of evidence that I wanted to use and what they mean, what they prove. But then when I would get to my exam at the end of the year, all I had to do was write down, I think, the characters' names, and that would be enough to prompt the examples that I wanted to talk about and the quotes that I wanted to talk about, and the themes relating to that. Like, all I had to do was write down the characters' names. And you might not want to use the characters' names, but if you can get a cue like that or a similar thing that can evoke that memory of memory please, can kind of evoke that memory of like the quotes and what you want to talk about. That's what you want to get to. And that's why it's so good to start off with a detailed plan like this early in the year. We've still got time, it's April now. Got a lot of time before your exam, so I highly recommend planning, even if it's analyzing argument as well. You still want to be using a contention and 3-body paragraph outline for analyzing argument as well. Really, really important. Otherwise, you're just, you can fall into the trap of talking about the wrong thing, or you might not realize that maybe your essay isn't as strong as it could be. Like halfway through, you really don't want to get to body paragraph 2, about to start body paragraph 3, and you realize, oops, I've argued the wrong kind of point of view. I haven't addressed this point of the question, and that's why planning is so important. You don't want to jeopardize your chances, especially under an exam condition, which is why we need to practice so early. Okay, so I guess we could have a little bit of practice here with a topic for the memory police. So, stories invite audiences to appreciate the power of human interactions and relationships to offer new insights into the world and oneself. Discuss. Okay, perfect. So these are just some points that I've made and a contention that I've formed. Hopefully you can see this and my camera isn't cutting it out. I've moved it to the side, so hopefully. But a contention that I've formulated based off of this topic. It has a lot of keywords. I've highlighted them in blue. It is quite in-depth, or not in-depth, sorry, but very, there's a lot of things to address in this topic. So whilst the memory police champions the value of positive human relationships and interactions, Yoko Agawa's nuanced exploration of relationships highlights how some interactions can result in oppression and marginalization. So that's my take on it anyway. You can develop your own contention. It might not be the same as mine, and that's definitely okay. There are a million ways that you can look at a question. Even if it's a really small, different take on it, it's about your interpretation of it, which is why your contention is so important and important to establish during planning. Okay, cool. So these are my topic sentences that I would talk about in my body paragraph, start of each body paragraph. So body paragraph 1. Through her exploration into healthy platonic relationships, Agawa champions the power of positive human interactions in the face of adversity. So that there is talking about those human interactions and relationships, and the new insights, I guess, as well. So we can see how that's relating to the topic. And if this was a sentence that you wanted to use in your introduction rather than your body paragraph, maybe you want to rephrase it slightly. How could you add context, Agawa champions the power of positive human interactions in the face of adversity. Exploring the authoritarian regimes and like her wider notion about like whatever. You can kind of go into it that way, or like exploring like the world of a like dystopian novel, like kind of employing those genres and things in there as well. But you can weave in that context through those sentences in your introduction, is my point. Don't do it all in one sentence at the start, okay? Cool. So, paragraph number 2. Certainly, Agawa explores how close and formative human connections can provide insights into oneself and their surrounding environment, okay? So that's looking at positive connections as well. And I guess my counter argument here, yet Agawa's depiction of abusive relationships highlights the detrimental impacts of negative human interactions. So I guess that could explore the relationship between, it could be someone's relationship with like the memory police, could be anything there as well. But I guess that's one way to look at it, okay?